Welcome to a series where I blind test plugins from ads that I see. My name is Adam. I develop plugins with a software team professionally, and I've been a music producer for about 12 years, and a few of my projects are signed to Apple Music record labels. And today we've got a plugin called NOTEGRABBER. I think it's an independent developer. I saw this ad.
If you use samples, imagine having an audio to MIDI tool that's 100% accurate.
It seems like it's a plugin for accessing the MIDI data of a sample or a loop. And to me, it just looked like a smaller, cheaper version of Melodyne. I wanted to know, is this thing useful, or are they just reinventing the wheel as a cash grab? So let's see what's going on here. Continue trial. Okay. My understanding is let's get an audio loop. I want to try something that's like maybe not so hard first to see if it does a good job. So right when I play, I already see, oh, okay, you can't make it vertically smaller. That sucks. It's kind of big. It's taking up my whole, I'm on a huge monitor and this is taking up like the whole arrangement view. The width is not an issue, but I guess if you want to see more. Okay, there's a scaling issue because the audio was playing for mad long before it started showing on the spectrogram or whatever. So what happens if I'm like way minimum size? It's actually still really delayed. I don't know if it broke. Let's do it. I'm going to reinstantiate it. Now it's showing up over here. Okay, but it is more immediate now. Like I think this is how it's supposed to have been. Okay, so already identified one bug. If you rescale the GUI, then the playback gets messy. Anyway, let's try to move on from that, something that confused me already. Let's just see if the product does what it's supposed to do. So I'm gonna play, it looks like it's already capturing. I don't know if I have to click. No, so record is on by default. So let's record this loop. Okay. So it's still moving. Is this what it captured? Can I interact with this? There's this drag MIDI button, but it's grayed out and I can't touch it. Turn record off. Still can't touch it. Okay, so when I hover down here, I see note data in the corner based on frequency. So it's basically just showing me, what is that? What the I'm drawing in notes now too, which I'm not sure I would need. How do I delete that? Right click deletes it. Okay, I don't really know what that means yet, but if I want to drag MIDI, what the hell? Drag MIDI is turned on. If I delete these and turn that off, I can't turn it off. Reset. What is happening? I have to re-record this, I guess. Let's just keep it short for now. Great. Okay, so when I turn record off, it'll stop moving. I don't want to reset, that'll lose the data. So you can't drag anything until you draw something? If I have to draw every note and then drag out the data, that is ridiculous because that is, you're making the user do all of the work. And you can't even gridlock to keys. So like it's very annoying to like aim the cursor and then click on the right note. I'm sure there's a tolerance range to make sure the note doesn't change, but look at how thin the keyboard is. This is crazy. And I can't actually increase the size in that dimension either. So I can't make it easier for myself unless I can, is that what range does? No, range is probably just the actual key, like the tuning range or something. Okay, so let's just say I drew some notes. Oh, okay. So this is where the MIDI file is exported. And I'm sure it's gonna be correct because I had to just tell it what the notes were based on the graph. I'm just gonna load any piano plugin. So yeah, I mean, maybe it's just that this is quicker than creating a MIDI file manually. I guess it is quicker, but this is like no different than me loading ProQ and looking at the spectrum and saying, oh, there's an A, there's a D. I mean, I guess the fact that it's a spectrogram, it's like time-based, so you can actually just drag out the length of the notes. I do understand how this is better. That's kind of cool. I mean, there are tools that do this, like Melodyne and stuff, where they'll scan for note data and then convert to MIDI. And I think maybe that's what they meant in the ad, was like the algorithms of converting to MIDI are trash, which they usually are, because like, for example, Ableton has one and it's absolute trash. Like if I do, this is the loop, right? Let's hear the loop again. For one thing in Ableton, I have to select like MIDI versus harmony. And sometimes it's both. It's got harmony, it's got harmonizations in the chords, but it's playing a top line melody. And if you have to pick one or the other, usually you lose some data. But whenever it's chordal, I always do harmony. And it's still horribly off usually. So let's just see how bad Ableton's is right now. Okay, so that's not as bad as it could be, but there's definitely here and here, there were some wrong notes. And then another thing that these algorithms usually do is they'll have like multiple note iterations when there maybe don't need to be or aren't in the loop. So usually I use those kind of algorithms to just like get me the note data and then I'll play it on my own. Like I don't need the actual MIDI. So maybe this tool is beautiful in that it can actually create the MIDI with the timing. I mean, but that's the thing though. It's kind of like, do I buy this product and then have to do all the manual work? What is the, like, let's see, what is the product here? They're selling this, right? 14-day trial, yada, 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 yada. There aren't many plugins that make sampling easier. That's not true at all. Yeah, kind of marketing cheesy. Make sampling easy by showing you every note in your sample. Yes, that's what it does. It's the only thing that it does. Eliminates the trial and error by letting you instantly take notes from your sample. Kind of. If they were available right on the graph to drag, that's what would be the case. But no, I have to draw them. Like this is a first step to an awesome product, I think, and maybe they were a little eager to get it to market, but this is all kind of just filler. Showing you insights into your sample, it's only showing me note data. It's showing me where these frequencies are happening on a map of time. You can do all the rest on your own is basically what it's saying. This product is only getting the MIDI from audio. That's all it is. Buy now. What is the price? $49 plus tax. Yeah, I mean, it's not an outrageous price. If they make it so you could actually drag like the note data right away, then it would be worth a little more. Like they could probably sell it for like 75 or something. Like I would buy it for something still under 100, but like 60 to 75 if it actually did this and was accurate. But this is the gimmick to me. It's only accurate because I'm accurate. If I'm at dragging notes and I do this and I'm lazy and I'm like some other loser at a computer, the result's going to be too. But I care. I have the precision and the care for my productions, so the results will be good because I'm doing it. So I'm kind of torn on this. Like I think someone who's attentive to detail, this is a good product for those types of people, like experienced producers. Let's try this again on a new sample, and I'm going to try to fill out the whole thing. Let's find a new sample. I'm just going to type in chord loop. That's a fun one. Let's just do that. Ramzoid, shout out. Let's put it on. Okay, let's record. So I'm going to try to just do the whole thing now and try to get all the relevant notes. So we've definitely got some detuning happening because there's like movement to some of these notes. But hell, I'm just going to draw all the main ones that I see. But I don't know is like some of these repeating iterations, like if you look at notes on a spectrum in like an equalizer, for example, you'll see these harmonics, like harmonic iterations of the same octave, of like the same note that are diminishing in level because they're overtones. They're not really the notes being played. They're not the peak resonances, but they're overtones that come out when a G is played. You'll hear other Gs. So I don't know how many, that's one issue with this approach is I don't know where to draw the line of what is actual note data and what is just that. Like a lot of this up here, I'm definitely I can't even select that stuff. It's too granular. But like, do I go up to here or do I go up to here? And I guess I can do whatever I want and see, like even this seems like there's way too many notes happening in between here for this basic like little chord synth. But I'm gonna just draw everything that looks legit. And if it sounds like crap, then that's indicative of this approach maybe not being the best approach. I guess this is like a bass note. The bass notes are impactful, so I'll draw those in. But these are kind of dark. I don't know if I'm making the right decisions here. Let's see, I'm gonna drag this out to my piano. And again, this is what the sample sounded like for those first 4 chords. And then this is what the piano version sounds like. Yikes. So let's try to look and like learn here. So like that tells me that the lowest note sounded way wrong. So like, can I remove? I'm gonna remove that. See, I guess like these aren't that bright. So let me just remove these. And is that any better? That is better, but there's still like a lot of noise in this high chord. Like this is my issue with this. I can't really zoom. Can I zoom? No, I can't really zoom. But there's too much happening in this 4th chord. That doesn't sound like the actual chord, does it? I mean, I definitely just have overtones captured here, but this chord is not. You've got B, D, E, B, D, E, F sharp. So like some of those might be wrong, but they're being detected in the plugin. But then again, like this is close. Like the timing is good because I can get the timing pretty accurate. Like in the sample, it has that sort of flammed approach to the 2nd chord. Like there's that lagging note, which is really cool. And I think I kind of have that. You can hear that. The only thing is none of this is going to be velocity sensitive. Like it's this note. And if I would boost the velocity of that note, you'd hear it more. That's pretty cool because that's exactly like the sample. So basically this thing is good at getting the timing of the notes. It's not good at delineating between what notes are actually in the sample and what are just noisy overtones that you shouldn't focus on. And it's also not capturing velocity data. That's something they could solve in this plugin in the same approach. Just an algorithm to analyze this spectrograph, I always forget. An algorithm to analyze the results here and take this heat mapping and actually define a threshold where this value and above is likely in the actual sample. Like that's what I'm missing. I'm missing some relative like indication of what I should take out of this sample. And with that, you could just apply a velocity, have it apply a note velocity to the MIDI that you export, and it would be way more useful and it would come to life instantly. I do like the approach in general. I think this is kind of a cool little tool. I do see myself maybe using this in some cases, maybe with certain samples, but I wanted to test this on like Melodyne. So I'm gonna record the input into Melodyne and analyze the note data there. And Melodyne allows you to export the MIDI. So we'll see how Melodyne handles this. So I'll hit transfer. So we only did the first 4 chords in the other plugin, so let's just reference that. But I think you can just save as MIDI, like right away. Bounces, let's just call this Melodyne MIDI test and throw that in here. Okay. The length of the MIDI in Melodyne is weird, so no bonus points there. But let's just hear what this sounds like. So it's interesting, Melodyne does try to apply velocities to the note data, which is cool. And then this is the one from NOTEGRABBER. So there's like an octave issue between the two. They're reading the octave differently. What's the sample sound like? So the result from NOTEGRABBER is more accurate in terms of the octave. But then again, Melodyne is really complicated, and I don't really actually know if I'm supposed to manipulate the range or anything. Like, this is a really refined tool. And I know you can do quite a lot in it, so I wouldn't be surprised if I don't know everything here. But just going based on accuracy and quick, gratifying results, let's put this up an octave so we can hear them side by side. So the result from Melodyne is pretty cheap and thin and not correct sounding compared to the sample. This is cool. And let me actually, just for fun, put Serum on this and try to find some kind of preset that's just quickly like. Let's look one more time though. Like, is there a manual? Because they're talking about using it as an effect and whatnot, and I don't really know what I would get out of that. Geez, this website is horrible. It's just black when you scroll. Okay, no user guide that I can find. So I don't know what these other things are doing here. What if I change the speed? So speed is deceptive. It looks like it's zooming in. So ×2 is not speed, it's kind of duration or factor, yeah. Speed ×2, you're actually kind of having the speed of the graph, not doubling. But I know what they're going for. This should be quicker if it was on 0.5. Yeah, so that makes things even tighter that are harder to see. And record is just on off. I think it's weird that the record feature just keeps on going. Things they should improve. I don't know what range does. Interesting. Hang on. So I put range all the way down and it looks like it eliminates the amount of notes that are allowed in. I'm gonna just try what's on here now. I went pretty aggressive with the range control, so I limited almost all of them out, but okay, it's not gonna take those. So let's see how that sounds. Let's go over here and paste it over. So it also exports, the speed control also exports that way. So it's not just the way it's recording and looking, it's actually, the MIDI is all like that. So what if I now change it to 1? Will that fix it? No. So you can't fix it. Big flaw. Okay. The big flaw is that I need to zoom in more to get accurate results because they have a threshold of where they won't even accept notes that are only so big or whatever. So reducing the range really helps, and making it half speed really helps get the right note data. But I don't want to export it that way. And then if you change it backwards, you can't, it's done. So all that time you waste drawing in note by note is gone. Luckily, there are other softwares like DAWs. Ableton allows me to just speed it up. All right, so closing thoughts. The plugin does take a unique approach to identifying pitches in a sample. So I haven't seen a plugin that just allows you to trace a spectrogram, but maybe there's a reason for that. I don't know that that's the best way to do it. But everyone's workflow is different, so maybe some people would like this. The price is not high. Granted, it should be that way because there are issues with the plugin, there are workflow issues, there are bugs. It's a little confusing, it's painstaking, but if that's the type of workflow you would want, I could see myself adopting this as part of my workflow for when those other tools are failing me. So for when Melodyne doesn't work, for when Ableton's audio to MIDI conversion doesn't work, I could try something like this. But I think this plugin really needs a more adaptable graphics. Like you need to be able to zoom in, you need to be able to rescale and rescale back. The bug with expanding the window and then it like keeps playing and it doesn't show you when you resize the window. And then feature-wise, the range feature is amazing because it actually helps eliminate some extra noise. It's basically a tolerance of how strict do you want to be in terms of the notes that are in the sample versus outside of the sample. And yeah, the range is really cool, but they need to have a better use of the MIDI. Like the range helps you identify, kind of like what I was saying earlier in the video, the range helps you identify what notes are more definite, but it'd be cool if they adapted that to velocity somehow in the file export. I'm missing a little bit of velocity data in the MIDI because I put in so much time, but like tools like Melodyne and Ableton, they automatically right off the bat, they'll have velocity note data, which is usually what makes or breaks a MIDI track sounding interesting or more alive. Overall, yeah, it's not bad. I think it does something unique. I think it's really annoying to use. I would use it as a last effort to identify notes, I think. Would I buy it at $49? Probably, but I'd probably wait until I ran into the next situation where I needed it. Like I would usually go to Ableton, go to Melodyne, use an EQ, just use my piano knowledge. And if I still can't get something, then I might try it. And at that point, maybe I'd buy it. I do think the UI is like rather intuitive. Like some UX UI stuff is a little confusing, but I've seen way worse plugins that have like way too many controls. Like they're not trying to complicate it. They're really trying to make this intuitive. So I think it gets some points there too. Yeah, anyway, hope you enjoyed my honest review of NOTEGRABBER. I'll put the link to the product in the description and I'll see you next time.